Hey everybody, this is Sean. I just want to apologize for the audio quality of this podcast. Unfortunately, Talking with Tony is the type of podcast where audio clarity would be more important than others, I would say, but this is the one where equipment failed and now we are going to end up having to use our backup solution, which doesn't sound as good. It'll be fixed for the next podcast though, and maybe we can have Tony on again where this doesn't happen.
But I knew he was right. So, and then they got married and he started having sex with my sister.
Oh, man.
That's how I know.
That's
gross. Welcome to Tales from the Ditch. Starring Sean, Seth, and guest starring Hunter. No, Tony Machete. Tony Machete, what are you a candidate for, you said? It was a doctoral candidate?
Yeah.
Doctrinal?
Doctrinal candidate. No, doctoral candidate in biochemistry at University of Nevada, Reno.
So, in your new book on communism called Stop Stalin, spelled Stalin, you said that Joseph Stalin was an amazing dancer. What did you mean by that? In your book, which has a foreword by John Piper. Stop Stalin.
Interesting.
I thought it was a good chapter. I thought it was a good point. I never knew that
I didn't know he was a dancer.
Fantastic dance. Oh, no, you said he danced on people's graves. I apologize.
Brought up in the gulags.
But let's get into Tony's wheelhouse. So, would you say
doctoral candidate
in
biochemistry?
Biochem.
Ask some legitimate questions while
you will be a doctor in what time period?
Probably about 2 years.
2 years. At that point, I have a rash that I was wondering if you could look at.
Yeah, not that kind of doctor.
All right.
What
Tony's
is it?
wheelhouse.
I legitimately have a question. So, I want to be clear before I answer this, because I feel like you've always been charitable about it. And this is having to do with Christians, specifically Christians and science. It's a guy John Polkinghorn, from Europe. He's physics. Is he physics?
Yeah.
I thought he was physics. So,
yeah.
So, Tony and I had a discussion about, I said, what do you think about John Polkinghorn or Christians who say, I believe in theistic evolution, which for those who don't know, it's evolution, but God's driving it, God's behind it. I don't know, to get this on the table, I don't remember you ever saying John Polkinghorn wasn't a believer because of this. I don't remember you ever being uncharitable to him. You seem to say, hey, I disagree. But yeah, I'm not going to say someone's not saved. Obviously, Tim Keller kind of has a view that kind of leans towards this. He kind of hems and haws on.
Okay.
For you, because talking to you always kind of encourages me about science, you don't see that science and faith are at odds with each other. And I want to give you a mic for this. So, some of these guys come to a conclusion of, well, clearly, it's evolution. Clearly, this is it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you have no problem with microevolution. Is it the rub is at macroevolution, right?
Well, yeah, transspeciation. And again, the thing is, I wouldn't even necessarily have to even lean on Scripture, though obviously I'm a believer.
It's important.
Yeah, but I don't even have to lean on Scripture to arrive at that conclusion, because I just do not see the evidence there for transspeciation.
Can you walk us through that? Kind of like, so you don't see evidence, why? What would be your argument for
So if I was going to talk to a major proponent of naturalism, I wouldn't actually start with transspeciation of higher ordered creatures. I wouldn't make my starting point apes into man or something like that. I would immediately try to direct the conversation to going from life to non-life, or the absolute complexity of simple cells, and that is such a ridiculous statement. A simple cell, and I understand that. Charles Darwin, the guy didn't have access to genetics, and he couldn't observe the chromosomes of DNA.
What was his basic field? Was it chemistry or anatomy? What was his Charles Darwin's basic field?
I believe he's training to be going to the ministry, right? He was on the Beagle.
I thought he had something, but what was his, scientifically, what was he known for? What field was he?
I guess an amateur zoologist, and people back then didn't have really high-tech equipment to make inferences about the creatures that they were observing. They just, I guess, they were.
This one has a longer beak, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the point is, I wouldn't fault Charlie Darwin for some of the conclusions that he came to, because, he had what he had to work with, and that's that. But I do, now that we are in an age of genomics, proteomics, very sophisticated technological, scientific, advancements that have been made, we know better. And so, I'm actually writing a report, doing a project on, a minimalist genomes. And so, so I would go back to, the simple cell theory. And again, I wouldn't attack Darwin on this, but I would say, as a modern, naturalist, neo-Darwinist, the most simple free living cell that is not a parasite, meaning it doesn't have to leech off another organism in order to survive, has about 1 million base pairs of DNA in its chromosome. And you want to call that simple? Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and we'll cut that in half and look at mycoplasma or mycoplasm genitalium. Is that right? Yeah. That's a real name for that. It is a venereal disease, so yes, that is. Anyway, so it's got about 500,000 base pairs of DNA.
Are you serious with that number? That's real?
Yeah.
I'm not a science guy. So, okay, you said, what was that number again?
580,000 base pairs of DNA. Jeez. And you want to tell me that bad boy randomly assembled itself, its DNA? So the minimalist genome so let me give a little bit of background. Have you guys heard of Craig Venter?
Yes.
Down in San Diego. So he has the...
You're okay, Sean.
Enlighten me.
Yeah. So Craig Venter has been working with DNA, working with synthetic biology and minimalist genomes for a long time. And anyway, so he proposes, so he's the expert in his field, and he proposes that the smallest genome for he actually semi-synthetically, I would argue, took a bunch of patchwork of different pieces of DNA, put them together in a mycoplasm shell, and he made the first fully functional synthetic bacteria, essentially. And
really?
Yeah, and its genome was only about 470,000 base pairs of DNA. So that's observed. He says theoretically proposed perhaps we could get down maybe to 130,000 base pairs. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll actually get down that low, design a synthetic organism that gets down that low in its DNA base pair count. So you have 4 base pairs: adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, A, T, C, and G. Maybe like in Jurassic Park when they show the sequences going by, you see the little letter codes. So you have 4 of those. And so for those to randomly assemble, statistically, you'd have to go 4 choices, 4, to the probability of them randomly assembling in order. And we're talking about a minimalist genome, so they'd have to be perfectly in order, to the 130,000th power that they would randomly assemble.
Jeez.
So that's 10 to the 92nd thousandth power that the proposed, not observed, simplest organism could randomly assemble itself. And you're like, to put that into perspective, there's proposed of what we can see of all the trillions of stars, possibly even trillions of, or billions of galaxies, trillions of stars. There's proposed to be atoms in the universe, a hydrogen equivalent of an atom. There's proposed to be 10 to the 82nd or 10 to the 84th being kind of an upper limit of what we can see in the universe. So as many...
Oh, wow.
So 10 to the 84th, let's just go with the upper limit, is the amount of proposed atoms that are in the observable universe. And you're telling me that you want to take a chance on 1 in 10 to the 92nd thousand? That's 10 with 92,000 zeros after it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That the minimalist proposed genome could self-assemble. And that's where I go. That's insane. That is insane. I cannot see non-life going to life. And even in like the parameters of physics, which is not my specialty, but just from a biology, there's just too many constraints for life to exist in the realm of physics and in biology that I just go, I don't think so. And that's...
Quick question.
Go for it.
Can you define in a way that's easy what a base pair of DNA is?
Right.
Can you break that?
So you're saying...
If it was someone who knew nothing about science, how could you break that?
You're saying the most minimalist cell is going to have 130?
Well, not observed, but proposed.
But proposed,
So
yeah.
if we want to go with the observed, and so science, they always say, well, seeing is believing, and I want to see it, show it to me, and then I'll believe it.
Show me your butt.
Well, let's say proposed.
Okay, proposed.
So you're saying 130,000
base pairs.
What are those base pairs?
So your DNA is
I've seen the helix with the things across, right? The ladder rungs.
Yeah, so you have... It's double-stranded DNA.
Yeah,
that's what makes it have the helix. You have to have two strands that coil around each other, and that's what makes the double helix. So a base pair is... Oh, geez, how do you explain that simply? Again,
all
I tried
your base pairs belong to that.
It's not the helix.
No, so that's
base
made up
pair is
of
not the helix.
what's called phosphates and other stuff.
Okay.
But phosphates make that backbone, or the kind of the... Okay, if you think of it at like a ladder,
right? The twisty ladder.
Yeah, exactly. The vertical parts of the ladder would be the backbone. Those are made of mostly phosphates. Okay. The rungs of the ladder that you would step on and climb up, those would be base pairs from either side of each strand of the vertical parts of the ladder, binding to each other. Okay. And they are called, like I mentioned before, you only have four choices.
There's the four that they could be.
Yeah, so it's a codification. So like binary code with a computer, zeros and ones. Yeah, yeah. And you only have two choices. In DNA, you have four choices. Okay. And so...
each rung is one letter?
Each rung is two letters binding to each other. So A's always go... A's always go opposite of T's, and T's always go opposite of A's in DNA. C's always go opposite G's, and G's always go opposite C's in the DNA, and those always bind with each other.
Okay. That's insane.
Seths is tracking.
All right, quick question.
I'm listening, I'm like, but that's just crazy, because, all right, this is the whole thing, though. See, Polkinghorn, all right, can I ask you real quick? Polkinghorn, he would affirm all the creeds we say. Do you have any issue with him saying he's a Christian and he believes in God?
No, not at all. Okay. I wouldn't contest that guy. Yeah. And it's not, biology is not his field of expertise, and so I don't fault him for that. And in fact, I am glad that he sticks to his field of expertise.
He doesn't go outside his wheelhouse.
And doesn't try to speak out. That's what, this drives me nuts about. Yeah. Rant time! Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson's like the go-to guy for everything. The dude is like a mathematician, a physicist. And they're like, tell us something about biology. And he's like, all right, I'd be glad to tell you about biology. And you're like, dude, you are not a biologist. Stop speaking outside of your...
You know who did this it was funny. Jonathan Merritt, who has debated between... he's openly come out saying he has same-sex attraction and all this, but really wants to follow God. He's this interesting figure. Okay. But the story that's interesting is he was debating a pastor, and the pastor brought 5 different subjects. And Jonathan Merritt goes, I'm sorry, you brought up 5 different subjects. Which one are you an expert in? Right. And the pastor laughed, but he goes, no, you brought socio-political ideas, you brought up economics, you brought up science. He's like, what do you have a degree in? And the guy's like, oh, I have a bachelor's in biblical studies. And he's like, well, stick to that. And that's my issue is I appreciate so much Polkinghorn, even when he's asked about these questions, he goes, I'm not a biologist.
Right.
And he'll say it. And he'll even say, like, some of the things you bring up of, like, mathematically this is crazy or the odds of this, he even says, like, that's why it has to be God because it's unfeasible.
Right.
He like, that's kind of his answers. He looks and goes, oh, this is crazy. Because if I talk to my friends, and I have a friend in Europe that we both know, he used to be a pastor out here.
Right.
He's kind of split on, but he also doesn't care as much because he goes, it's not my field. He goes, I'll let them hash it out. But I have no problem as long as Polkinghorn affirms the deity of Christ, the Trinity, all this. And he always contributes back to God. And he has not said one heretical thing. And yet, let me ask you this. Okay, so you're a Christian, you're a scientist. I've seen people in America, despite him affirming all our creeds, say, well, Polkinghorn, just because he believes that one thing, he can't be saved. Why do you think that is in America? Is that political? Is that science? What is it?
Thing is theistic evolution.
Because he believes in theistic evolution, even though he affirms everything else you and I think, he can't be saved. What do you think that is? Is that political? Is that cultural? What is it?
Yeah, people don't know any better. They just, I think what happens is they come up in the church and their pastor is a major authority figure to them, and they take his word as...
You're being respectful too. There's nothing... Trust me, like, I'm listening. He, no joke. To be clear, he affirms the Trinity. Jesus is the only way. Nothing. It's only evolution. And he says, he really does say he thinks this might be right. He even said, though, I could be wrong, but he goes, well, I know I'm saved by Christ's blood. Sorry, continue. I just want to affirm, because not everyone's read Polkinghorn's greatest hits, to be fair, so.
Dude, I think, I'm not a historian, again, so talk about speaking outside of your field of expertise. But if I had to take a guess, I mean, don't quote me on this, I guess, but if I had to take a guess, I would say we as Americans were born out of rebellion in the Revolution, and we're like, yeah, America!
Yeah.
And like, we always want to be right. We love a good fight.
Yeah.
People defend their sports team even though they suck.
We'll riot even when our sports team wins.
Right.
Even when we win.
It's like, we are just rebels at heart. And I think the rest of the world is looking at us like, whoa, like, chill down. Chill down. Chill out. Calm down. That's a new,
chill down,
that's
kids.
Chill
I have the 402. I know it's hop.
Right. It's like chillax. I just made a new chillax.
Actually, chill down. We're going to start saying that now.
Chill down, man.
Chill down, bruh.
But we like a good fight, and I think that we're prideful, man. And we display that in all arenas, and it's kind of like, even if we don't really know what we're talking about, we're going to pretend like we know what we're talking about. We're going to defend it to the death. And like, that's ridiculous. Like, concede, give homage to people that know the subject better than you, and I don't know, like, people, yeah, that would be my guess of why people do that. And that obviously flows over into the church. A lot of our Americanism flows over into American Christianity. And we've got to, and then our Westernism, we've got to have the answer. We have to have things in nice, neat little boxes. So if we don't have the answer,
very systematic.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not okay with just saying, I don't know.
I want to real quick thank our sponsors and also remind people we are recipients of the Jerry Falwell Diversity and Tolerance Award.
And Science Institute, Theistic Evolutionary Institute.
The Western Seminary Joel Osteen Award for Scriptural Integrity. Well, okay. So
hold on. Let me finish.
I want to see this because I want to know what Tony's thinking.
So again, as you said, I'm not going to make enemies of Polkinghorn. Polkinghorn's brilliant in his field, and I'm going to just say, okay, yeah, like maybe he doesn't understand the field that I operate in, and that's fine. And again, do you actually I guess I would pose this to the people kind of giving Polkinghorn a hard time. It'd be like, do you really think there's going to be a theological examination to get into heaven? And do you really think that you're going to pass it if there is? So you got bigger things to worry about if you want to just like rail Polkinghorn.
What do you think about, this is something I brought to you. The Puritans were wrong on slavery, and we go, well, clearly they loved God. Polkinghorn, wrong on scientific issues. Some people, we go, well, here's going to hell. I'm like, really? Like, the Puritans had some stuff talking about, like, a second image of God. Like, literally saying they have less dignity and worth. They were taking scripture. And we go, well, they get a pass. Like, there's all these guys we give a pass to, but Polkinghorn goes, no, I think this might be right, and he even has like a theological interpretation. I don't agree, but it's a theological interpretation. We go, no, you're going to hell. I'm like, how weird that the dudes in your camp are all going to heaven, and everyone not in your camp is going to hell. That's such a coincidence. That's just so weird to me. And if you listen to his interviews, he doesn't sound malicious to me. He doesn't sound abrasive. It sounds like he really is like, no, I love God. I just think this scientifically...
I do that. Like, I'll say...
Yeah, go ahead.
It's important. No. I think what you're saying is right. It's important to not hold anybody in that regard of being infallible. Like, for example, Jonathan Edwards was a good theologian.
Got fired as his first job as pastor. No joke, because they said he was a terrible preacher. No one brings that up.
Yeah.
They said he was a terrible preacher. Just want to say.
And slave owner. Is
that was kind of a thing.
Here's the thing. So you can say, oh, Jonathan Edwards wrote some really good paragraphs.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's cool. Jonathan Edwards is cool for a couple paragraphs, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. Martin Luther was great. Father of the Reformation, or one of the fathers of the Reformation, also hated Jews, said we should burn down synagogues with Jews in them.
What did he say? He's like, I think I drove by a town of Jews, I could smell them or something.
Yeah.
I don't read those books. I pretend like they don't.
And we say, he was just a crazy old man. No, you have to say, there's some stuff from Luther that's not okay.
And
my example,
wrong with that?
my
what's
modern
wrong with
example
taking the
is
meat and getting rid of the bones? Yeah.
Exactly. I know you're a fan, Tony. Chuck Missler.
Yeah.
He goes way outside of his wheelhouse. He says, I know everything in the world, but he's my favorite guy. Right. I love listening to Chuck Missler. But he goes nuts on some things. Yeah. And like a typical Calvary pastor, too. He's just kind of like, I'm not saying this is true, but it would be cool, and it probably is because I like it.
Right.
But I know that I can't take everything he says as gospel, and I have to let him be fallible. And that's why they say never meet your heroes. Like, I think from a church position, we should never really have people who are heroes, where we'll let them be this blind spot that allows us to like make poor decisions because we're not considering their fallibility.
Right.
And so, like, I think you have to do that with everybody, from Kirk Cameron.
Lewis.
From C.S. Lewis, absolutely.
C.S. Lewis has stuff I've read where I go, dude, that's beautiful, like romantic, amazing, logical. And then he says other stuff, I go, I'm not sure about that, man. I'm like,
this is humanity. Yeah, I mean, we're all flawed. How could you...
Exactly.
Yeah. People, you know what I find the funniest is when I see Calvinists quote G.K. Chesterton and then say, I hate all Catholics. I go, wait, hold on, dog. Like, we got to talk about that, because G.K. Chesterton, dude, his fiction books, awesome.
Yeah.
But some of his stuff when he talks about Mary, I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I'm like, but it's like, here's the thing. I think of Romans, it was either 9 or 10, where it talks about the righteous. This is one that's really been hitting me. It says the righteous, like, do not say, who will go here to heaven, who will go here to the abyss. Mm-hmm. And it's not that it doesn't matter. Like, I can say a general statement of, like, if you do not believe Jesus, this is what will happen. Jesus is the only way. But I think it's making a point of we don't spend all our time nitpicking individuals' fates and destinies, saying, I know for a fact, this guy's going to hell, this guy's going to heaven, this guy's going here, this guy's not. And I think it's not just, it's a waste of our time, but that we don't know. We're answering a question only God knows. because I can say general things. I can say, if you talk to me, I say, yeah, if someone never gets the forgiveness of Jesus, here are the consequences. But to point at random people and say, I know he's going to hell, he's going to heaven, it literally says the righteous do not say that. I think it's because this idea of, I don't know, like my mom's dad did not get saved till he was like 2 months before he died. So for me to go, well, I know he's going to hell, well, he repented. And I don't know their last days. And that's the thing I think with some of these guys, we go, well, he's my hero, I have to defend him to hill. No. Be okay with saying, I agree with him here, he's off here.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan Edwards, I can go, dude, it was great what you said here. When it comes to black people, you are off. And that's okay.
Right.
You're off. I can respect C.S. Lewis on, dude, he has some beautiful views of heaven. But I'm not Paedo-Baptist. And technically he was with the Anglican. Fine. I do not get why we have to 100% agree with all these guys. C.S. Lewis is not the Bible. I have to agree with the Bible. C.S. Lewis even said, he goes, there are men smarter than me. I'm not the scripture.
Look at,
it's like, yeah.
Every C.S. Lewis book that is not just pure fiction, like Chronicles of Narnia, but like Miracles or A Grief Observed.
You've actually read those books. Those aren't popular. I've read them.
Miracles was weighty. That was super hard to wade through. But he puts a disclaimer. He says, I am no theologian.
Right.
Do not look to this for major theological principle. And like, well, people are going to glean that from it, whether you like it or not. But he says that he's telling you to take his book with a grain of salt and to not trust it.
And he's not a pastor.
Yeah,
he's not a pastor.
And he says that himself. It's like you can't.
He says Great Divorce is a fictional work.
Right.
All right, spoil. All right, this is going to bum some people out. The character wakes up knowing it was a dream at the end.
Right.
I also played Mario 2. Super Mario Brothers 2.
That was a good one.
Directed by C.S. Lewis.
Right.
Here's the thing. There's some things C.S. Lewis said that people don't agree with because they didn't understand, and it was a fictional book. And there's some stuff they disagree with that he said because he really said.
Real quick on that point, he really elaborated on the life of plumbers in a way that I never thought of.
What?
Their soul is connected to the pipes.
Right.
I mean, that's an allegory.
Yeah.
You don't actually go down the pipe.
That is
but
deep
your life
more than
goes
one
down
way.
the
Your
pipe.
life,
Man.
King Koopa is technically a dragon related to the serpent, related to Revelation, related to Genesis, creation, fall, redemption, consummation.
Turtle with a swan head. Think about it.
Circle.
Think about the deeper meaning to that.
Yeah.
He had a crown, but it's a false
turtle.
crown.
Question.
Turtling?
Can I ask you
Growler?
something, Tony?
Nope.
You are a scientist?
You cannot be considered a scientist until you have achieved your PhD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my professor has said, you're a scientist for all intent and purposes, but the title scientist is only given to people with the PhD. Just to clear the record.
I really wish you were declared a scientist when you could beat up
so
whoever
no one's like, you're
discipled you.
Timo the science bro.
Do you claim
Yeah, could you beat up the people who taught you
if
stuff?
you beat up Bill Nye, could you take his title?
Bill Nye is not a scientist.
Yes!
Really? He doesn't talk
And
He's
that's
a
why he's called
master's,
the
right?
science guy.
Is it
not
a
the
master's?
Scientist. Either that or a bachelor's.
I thought it was
and
a
believe it's
master's in
a field of
engineering.
engineering. Yeah. So it's not even in a lot of the
Dude,
biological sciences
all right.
that he
You just-
tries to.
just-
I've
my
sparred Tony. Tony has a jab from like a mile away.
Reach.
Dude,
I know. Tony
Bill
has
Nye would
reach.
be like, blah, 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 left-leaning science. He's like, jab, jab, overhand. Just
But you already have a master's, right?
I do. I have 2 masters.
You have 2 masters. You don't need Bill
he's
Nye's
better.
masters.
He's more qualified than the guy with the Netflix special.
Can we start a show? Question. Okay, listeners.
Timo the science bro. Oh man.
Can we start Timo the Science Bro? And Tony can just quit school because he doesn't need it anymore because he's going to get rich on our
We've been
show.
getting donations,
no,
dude.
I'm
No
gonna finish.
joke.
I only got 2 more years, man.
School.
Call me in 2 years.
Well,
talk.
now I have to be a pastor.
So
the rest of my
Timo
life.
the Scientist doesn't work though. So what are you going to do? Dr. Tone? You could do a radio show.
Yeah, dude, I've actually thought of that.
Science bone from Tebow.
Oh, man.
Science bone. I'm here to give you the science bone.
That's going to be an edit. I'll go, hey, Sean, where's that 2-minute segment where I was talking?
I do have a legitimate question, though. You are... So, what you've said up until this point is that science has actually given you more reasons to chase after the possibility of a deity than disprove it.
Not just chase after, like, confirms it every step of the way through my educational, like,
take that, Ricky Gervais.
And so I saw a thing on Facebook that said there was a God particle that's in the shape of a cross in every cell. It's in the center of every cell.
Is that true, Tony? Is it on fireproof?
Not, is it true? How true is it?
I think people sometimes look... If you look hard enough and try to find something that give it significance, you can. And I think that's... Yeah, sure. Do I believe that God could have made it in the shape of a cross? Yeah, but is it coincidence? Yeah, is a cross bracing structure like just good integrity for the cell? I believe that particle or that.
Is that a real thing? Is it really a cross thing?
It is, but it's. I think it's much ado about something that is just coincidental.
Now what?
And I think Christians like to take things and they like to kind of go, "Whoa, look at this! It's in the shape of a cross," and you're like, "Well, yeah, but does that really have major significance?" Maybe it does. I'm not closed off to that possibility, but am I going to just like take that and run with it? No, there's actually really good science that can really point to the existence of God that is far surpassing that. And this is one thing, again, that kind of, I think, bothers scientists in general is there's a major sensationalizing of findings in science. And science, the conducting of science is actually pretty arduous, pretty slow, pretty monotonous at times. And it's a lot more failings than it is findings. And I don't know, I think... Yeah, the public likes to sensationalize things. How do you get funding unless you sensationalize something? How do you get attention? How do you get ratings? How do you get people to watch your news broadcast or whatever? Unless they're... Whatever
science.
attracts...
I said science.
Right,
again.
yeah.
It's the same thing we do, like we've said this before on this show, the same thing we do with Chris Pratt. We go, oh my gosh, Chris Pratt said he is risen on Easter.
Right.
He is one of us. We finally have somebody cool on our
Like
team.
Ryan Smith says stuff, he's like, Trump is the one who will redeem us all. And I go, dude, that's crazy you would say it. And Ryan Smith, that's Ryan, R-Y-A-N, says, yes, that is exactly what I said. Put me on record. Sponsored by Powerade.
So what do you... I guess here was my main question. What do you think it is that people are so defensive about when you offer up something where science or even something that has been known as paradoxical or contradictory towards the Christian faith? Why do people like hate that so much?
Just say you hate America. We're all waiting for it. I've said everything.
I'm curious. So you say, hey, actually, you do believe in some manner of theistic evolution.
He believes in microevolution, which could be interspecies, but not... Is it intraspecies? What is it?
Well, I would say transspeciation.
There you go.
Yeah, so
dogs can change into different types of dogs, but a dog doesn't change into a human.
Yeah, and I don't believe there's evidence to show that. Like, in the fossil record, there's a ton of different types of horses, ton of different types of dogs, tons of variations within... Yeah, but I don't see... even Darwin so if you
but what I'm saying is your perspective saying you don't believe in theistic
evolution.
Transspeciesism, but you do believe in maybe adaptation or something like that.
Well, yeah, I call it evolution, but just not transspecies
It's
evolution.
microevolution.
Yeah, and what people would describe as microevolution.
Even that, I think most American evangelicals will say is too liberal and
Which
too
is
far.
nuts. How do you fit all the species that are on the planet on the ark? Ain't gonna happen. And the genetic plasticity to get all the types of dogs. Okay, so like you can get a Chihuahua if you breed a wolf long enough.
Right.
And you're like,
gross.
do you know?
I hate Chihuahuas.
I meant
sorry,
generationally, not length of time breeding a wolf.
long enough sessions.
We're gonna breed him for like a year straight. He's gonna get no breaks.
Disgusting.
But what is it that make
Big-brain
people like? I feel like sometimes maybe people are so unsure of their faith. You know, we're told to like fight out our faith with fear and trembling. I feel like occasionally there's people who haven't done that, and they end up being so defensive whenever they're approached with something scientific or even something cultural that they say, nope, sorry, you're a Satanist, and we don't believe in evolution in any regard because that's because you're doing the work.
Nice try, Hillary.
Yeah.
AlexJones.com.
I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know if I'm right or not, but what from your perspective, Tony, what do you think it is that makes people crazy?
I think it's a telltale sign of insecurity. I think people that are insecure try to hide their insecurity by being bombastic, by being loud, trying to... Yeah.
I started singing Mr. Bombastic.
Bombastic. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Big words.
Continue.
No, I think he has a point. So,
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it's insecurity. They don't know the science, and so they don't know how to or what they think is having to combat. It's like it's either science or religion. And it's like, no, if you knew enough, you wouldn't have to.
Hyper didn't think they were at odds.
No,
Hyper thought they were together.
Right.
All right, so here's the question. So we've talked a little bit about this, and this comes from our viewer, Sean at Moss. Let's see. In your upcoming book, White People Are Whack, you have made the claim that white people practice the dark art and refuse to share with other ethnic groups. Can you elaborate, and do you know Justice Bieber?
That's a good question.
And that's not Justin Bieber, Justice Bieber.
I'm gonna have to think for a second.
Do you want Echo what he's saying? Do you want Echo and ask for traveling mercies while you're thinking about this?
Right.
I'm just going to pray a hedge of protection around this studio while you're thinking about this.
Dude, why a hedge? Why not a wall of spears and badgers? I want to pray a wall of spears and badgers.
Because bushes are less intimidating.
Yeah, what's with the hedge?
Nice and trim.
You know you could get through any hedge.
Yeah.
You just walk through it, right? Exactly. All right, Tony, this is this is more a cultural question. So, Russell Moore, and I'm really not telling people, like...
Remind me who Russell Moore is.
So, Russell Moore is a Southern Baptist guy. He's the president of their Ethics, Religious, and Liberty Commission. Yeah. He's friends with Deity, different guys like that. So... when he challenged Trump, and he didn't say if you vote for him, you're not a Christian, he just had major concerns about what are we doing morally, who are we supporting, what are we excusing. And I thought, okay, we're going to have this great discussion as evangelicals. No, not even close. They were trying to like kick him out of the Baptist convention, fire him. Even when he backed off Trump, they said the fact they brought up refugees, or are we doing enough for the poor, or racial reconciliation. Because this is the age of, huge debates about Ferguson and Black Lives Matter. All this. I don't think most of the arguments I want to be fair to him. Okay. I didn't see most of the arguments being theological, or even them giving this great scriptural argument of boom, 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 here's all verses. It seemed very cultural of, well, if you do this, I'll lead to this. Well, you're just a liberal. Well, you're just this. And even on the other side of, well, you're just far right wing. Well, you're just this. I noticed most of the arguments were not based on church history, church fathers. You know, they weren't quoting Augustine, Justin Martyr. It was very cultural of, you know, well, this is our Christianity culturally. And I wonder if some of the scientific stuff that even if you said, hey, I just agree with, you know, adaptation on a micro level, is it really biblical, like issues they have? Or is it all cultural of, well, this is what Christianity is supposed to look like? And you're not really meeting that, Tony. You're kind of going outside that, and that kind of scares us because it seems like the second they get challenged, it's not this civil discourse. It's this very much like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, they're more listening to you to see if you meet their qualifiers. Like, they're asking you questions to see if you meet what they already think, if you agree with that, what they already believe.
Again, I am no expert in...
You are to me.
I have
in the social sciences.
What you're about to say.
But if I had to say the three things that modern Christianity has failed at is embracing science, and these are in no particular order, but embracing science, embracing good science, and familiarizing themselves with the scientific discovery so that they can have a decent conversation when things arise in this realm. So that would be the realm that I operate. And then just from being a guy living in society, I'd say my other two observations that are just, from a more casual perspective, again, I'm no expert, but would be, I think we have failed to be the forerunners of racial reconciliation. And I think we've failed to really, we should have been embracing, let me phrase this appropriately. We should have been loving the gay community long before kind of this
culture.
Yeah. And we should have said, hey, you know what? We don't agree with what you're doing, but we love you.
We should have been gay for the gays way longer.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
So I won't speak on the other two as a passive, more, again, not an expert in those fields. But again, I think they all kind of, they're failings of Christianity at large historically for not embracing these issues, these topics in the
does
case of science. So,
does your scientific perspective give you perspective on that? Like, are you saying we should have been the forerunners of racial reconciliation, the forerunners of even
loving the gay community, or
I do,
or being
on top of science and knowing what was actually going on?
Would you say there's like a scientific basis for that? For loving, for considering all people potentially created and designed by God?
Oh yeah, look at it. So if we look at the common ancestry, if you look at the mitochondria is only given by your mother. And so if you look at the mitochondria, your mother,
your mom has mitochondria.
Yeah,
how
bring the
dare
moms into this, but we have to for the sake of
you're the Pope.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Oh yeah, it makes all the energy. That's
how
good.
did you know that?
I do know that.
Right, not all the energy.
I'm a scientist.
So anyway, okay, let cut that. We can, looking at the heritage through parts of our DNA in mitochondria, we know that our heritage, the furthest we can trace it back, is to North Africa. And I would tell my Bio 190 class this when I used to teach before I went back to graduate school. I would say, did you know that the original human beings were most likely black? That the mother and father, most likely of all humans on Earth, were black. And that black skin is actually probably the norm for living under the sun compared to white skin. White skin is the anomaly. And a lot of my black students, black students would just like get this huge smile on their face and you're like, yeah, it's right. Science shows that is we suspect that is most likely the case. And so to be racist is just ridiculous. Your most the ancestry that we all share as human beings, most common ancestor, was most likely black. So how could you be racist? And so probably Adam and Eve were most likely black. And so it just is like, okay, and
take that.
How do you,
Spencer?
So essentially, I would say in layman's terms, white people were the freaks, not the black.
Yeah, I have been waiting for a guest like you for so long.
And that puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
How about the homosexual community? I'm curious, like, from a scientific perspective, how...
We can't cure gay, Sean. There's not a potion.
No, this is another thing that I saw on Facebook. Somebody said that there's something in the water. I believe that the feminist imperative put in the water.
Is this Alex Jones?
In order to make people gay.
Alex Jones said the water makes us gay. I'm just going to say, he also says there's lizard people who took over.
Yeah. Okay, if you do anything, please stay away from Alex Jones.
What?
Listen,
he has such great
listen to Jordan Peterson. Oh, man, just got to give a shout out to JP.
A lot of people like
everybody loves that guy.
I love listening to that guy. But he's PhD.
Can I say he's the cheap date? He's just saying, I went on a date with him. Not impressed.
Yeah. It's funny though because you don't usually get like an actual clinical professional speaking out about that stuff. That's usually like in a closed practice, and I think that's what's so awesome about it. He catches
hell for it too.
Oh, he does.
Only with everyone. Other than that, no. But
so
what you're saying though is there's no chemical reason.
Oh, I know.
People are homosexuals.
Don't put I didn't say that. No.
Why are you doing this, Sean?
I'm just curious. I'm not a scientist. I want to know.
Okay, so if
I'm curious.
And yeah, I think there's chemical imbalances. And the homosexual community would probably be like, why are you calling it an imbalance? Pardon me. I don't know. From my perspective, obviously, as a Bible-believing Christian, I do not agree with that lifestyle. Now, if you are homosexual and listening to this, I love you. That is baseline. You have human dignity. I love you.
You're a person created in the image of God.
But, and then also in American society, there is this thing where you have to agree with me in order to love me. And it's like, no, that's not true. And actually, I disagree with you because I love you and because I think there's something better for you than what you're pursuing.
Do you think they have the right to make pizzas with their partner?
I do
answer the question, Tony.
There is a biological component, but we, of course, would be coming from the perspective that we live in a fallen world, and things aren't as they ought to be. And even like, it's funny to ask my colleagues. I guess they wouldn't be my colleagues because I'm a graduate student now, but they would be my
better than them.
No. They are.
You're lesser
above me now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a.
I was picturing you with a top hat stepping over peasants.
But I would ask former PIs and professors. I would say, so give me a scientific explanation or an evolutionary advantage that would be conferred by homosexuality. And like, whoa, you can't just take science to try to explain or rationalize all of it. And you're like, right, okay, yeah. So you're not wanting to take a scientific approach because the moment that you do, you go, okay, how does it promote the survival of the species? And then there's theories about that in overpopulation, you start getting a higher rate of homosexual individuals to like try to limit breeding in the population. And okay, fine, but okay. It just doesn't confer survivability from a naturalist evolutionary standpoint. And yeah, so it's really hard to make a naturalist argument for it in my perspective. And then obviously most major world religions don't give credence to it. But that's not to say that there's some causative reason for it, like some imbalance in the brain. I keep saying that word imbalance, but yeah. So yeah, I do believe there's...
Can
when people say I was born with this, like,
can it be both nature and nurture?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I believe that there's environmental factors.
Because you in your new book said
you can't tell me that you were molested by a priest for years on end, and that didn't influence your decision to.
Oh God! Yeah.
So what about
make that choice?
What about
there is environmental factors, and then I think there is absolutely there. Well, I guess, yeah, I would definitely.
Is there any genetic or chromosomal? I'm not a scientist.
Right. Is there
any evidence
like that or something?
Yeah, is there anything like that?
I think there's investigations going on right now.
Yeah. Does soy make you gay?
Soy has female analogs of female hormones in it, and I wouldn't eat soy products because of that reason.
Does it? All right, here's the question.
You're like, what did you just say? It has things that mimic female hormones.
Alex Jones has made clear that soy is a conspiracy by the Muslims to make you gay.
And
doesn't make you gay. And by the way, buy his supplements.
Yeah.
Do you know he smokes weed with Joe Rogan? And you know why? He says, I want to see if Soros is making it stronger over you. He goes, I'm testing it to make sure.
He's so great. He has the best platform. He could do anything.
I would like to fight him.
If you have one takeaway, please don't listen to Alex Jones. Please find another source.
But he has a website.
Listen to Ravi Zacharias, John Lennox, Jordan Peterson. Those are guys that I would highly
Malcolm? There's
encourage.
Who is this? There's
instead of.
I think it's a Malcolm. What's his name? Shoot, it's a guy you've actually brought up. Crap, because I know there's Ravi. I know. I still think I love Polkinghorn. I love NT.
Yeah, I'd go to Polkinghorn for physics.
There's a Malcolm
Chuck Missler.
Chuck is just entertaining.
Who is the other guy? It's a Malcolm guy. I'm trying to remember. Maybe it's not Malcolm. McLeod. I'm thinking of Highlander now. All right, there's Ravi Zacharias. There was another intellectual you were saying.
John Lennox is also a fellow with John Polkinghorn. And
forget the rest. Lennox is good. Yeah. Lennox, I think, is good. I'm trying to think of other guys who would be. Who's a good physics guy you can think of who's a believer? Because I know of biology guys. I know of biochemists. There's even some guys who are mathematics, but who's a physics guy? Because Polkinghorn's the only guy I know, but he's European. He's not a...
Right.
He's an English dude. He's
Lennox
not
is mathematics. I actually read the book by Ralph Muncaster, who I believe
nerd Ralph
has... Yeah, Ralph Muncaster. And I believe he's a physicist. At least he...
Is he American?
Yes.
Okay,
and he actually wrote a book to disprove God using physics and then ended up becoming a believer.
Now, is he a theistic evolution?
I don't know.
But he's American.
I believe so.
Would you be okay recommending his book?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's nothing that
he's kind of coming from the fine-tuning argument, but even with all the mockery of the fine-tuning argument, meaning like all of physics is so fine-tuned that the probability that I showed you with biology, he talks more along the probability of the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, electrostatic attractions, and gravity being the specific defined ratio in the parameters they are with each other. And again, I'm no physicist.
Oh, that sounds sexy.
Yeah, but like he talks about all of that stuff and... Yeah,
I want to ask something.
It was a good
Go ahead,
real quick,
and then I'll ask
before we move on,
traitor.
Just to reduce and maybe even
is this another gay question?
Maybe even simplify what we were talking about.
Right. I know it's so hard.
I think it's been great, but I think that we should. Just people will listen to this and form. Kind of a false narrative that you said because you used words that don't understand possibly. So what I want to say is you're saying from a scientific perspective, there is no reason for you to believe that a homosexual or a white person or a black person or whatever is created less in the image of God than anybody else.
Well, and from a theological perspective, you don't get that out.
Absolutely, you don't.
Every human being is made in the image of God according to Scripture.
Theologically, yes. But scientifically, you also have no basis to believe that certain people are inferior.
Certain people are less.
Or have less of the characteristics that they were originally created with. Quit your beard rubbing!
Yeah.
I've told you 1,000 times!
If you take
no rubbing your beard!
If you take naturalism to its logical conclusion, so Ravi Zacharias talks about this, and yeah, you.
I like Ravi. I really do. I do like Qureshi. I'm kind of heartbroken.
Qureshi? Yeah, right. Oh, dude, that's
sorry. I hate to bring it down because he's awesome. I heard his debate with the Croatian theologian. Shoot. Oh crap. Qureshi though did a great job. Yeah, he's with the Father now. He's fine now. It's heartbreaking left, but yeah, I like Robbie. Go ahead. Sorry.
So
Wolf. He debated Wolf. Sorry.
Well, look at Hitler, man. Hitler said there was a basis for discrimination genetically. Survival of the fittest. Might makes right. And so from a it's actually. A lot of the naturalists don't realize that they've been riding the coattails of Christianity for a really long time. They love Western morals and Western ideals. You know where they got those from? Christianity. Point to a society in all of antiquity that's treated women the way that Christians have historically. And I mean, we've had lapses in judgment for sure, i.e. the medieval Catholic Church.
What?
But,
edit this, Sean.
Yeah. You're saying maybe a Hebrew culture or a first century church culture, women were treated much better than surrounding cultures.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, there's even atheists, even atheist talking heads, guys like, I don't particularly love everything that he says, but who's the guy with Free Domain Radio?
Fritos? Frito what?
Oh, geez, he's Canadian.
Not Dawkins?
No, Free Domain Radio.
Oh, I heard Fritos.
Fritos.
Stop engaging Sean.
Oh, geez. I can't even remember his name. Bald guy. Anyway, so he says...
Not Dawkins, not Hitchens. Those are the only two guys.
No. He's not a scientist. He's just a talking head.
Oh.
But, and Jordan Peterson talks about this, that... or maybe he doesn't. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. So
no, he did. He told me this yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to scratch that from the record. But there are atheists that admit that we enjoy the culture that we do, and it is a product of Christianity. And whether they don't like God, they don't like the religious aspect, but they can't deny that Christ was the main motivating factor throughout history. Again, if you deny this, then please show me another culture in history who's treated women or fought for women. And we're far from perfect as Christians from treating women as they ought to be treated. But the progress that has been made is, in my opinion, and the opinion of, again, a lot of people, would be, even in atheist realms, would be that women are treated the way that they are because of Christianity. And Western society is a product of Christianity, of Christ and his movement. And so naturalism actually has gone the other direction and devalued human life.
I see that.
And then
for sure.
Hitler was a manifestation of that. I'm not saying Hitler...
all naturalists are.
Well, yeah, he was...
are Hitler.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But
we can edit it.
But he wanted to exterminate black people. He wanted to exterminate gays because he did not see them as fit to live and survive. Yeah. Eugenics. I mean, the Tuskegee experiments and considering black people inferior and doing experimentation and to prove such. Like, come on. That was from a very naturalist perspective that they did that.
The Constitution refers to Native Americans as those savages.
Yeah.
And oh gosh. Yeah.
One more thing real quick.
So I believe it's religion that gives value to all human beings, not naturalism, if I was going to sum it up.
Yeah.
And I believe...
And science backs that up.
Stop doing this, Sean. He's trying to call us crap, Tony. That's why he does
in
this.
the right climate, naturalists will destroy the homosexual population. They will destroy, and I mean, I could cite Hitler, I could cite Stalin, I could cite, yeah.
Was he a good dancer?
Stalin, yeah.
You know, that's what your book said.
I know, his book said, I was like...
One last question, and I'm just going to ask this real quick answer.
Okay.
Just because of your field and your experience and your education, what does Seth with the beard rubbing? What is science accomplishing in the ways of overcoming wiener droop?
I think we got it pretty much nailed down. Nailed down.
No. All right. Here's the real question, because Sean's being immature. I'm just gonna step in, Sean. Sponsored by Powerade and wienerdroop.com. All right, Tony, this is a serious question we ask all our guests because we assume if you have the spirit, you gotta give a biblical answer, not some crazy wackadoo communist answer like Ryan Smith. Cake or pie? Cake or pie, Tony?
Oh, I'm a pie man.
Because Tony loves the gospel.
I'm a pie face.
And science backs that up, I'm assuming. The molecular structure of pie is far better than cake.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yes. Gosh, I hate beard wipe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to add life to this podcast.
Peach pie. Peach cobbler. Gotta make that noise.
Do you have to? Are you sure?
Yeah, with cobbler, it's a must.
Is peach... how do you make this peach cobbler? Pan, Dutch oven, bake?
Oh, I'll give you a Dutch oven.
Baked peach cobbler.
The Dutch guy. By the way, too, Seth, you want to tell people how you know me?
Okay. So
perspective.
So
I don't think we should say that.
Yeah.
Why should we?
I don't know.
Tony actually tried to witness to me when he was dating or engaged to my sister. Dating or engaged? Okay, so dating, and I got so frustrated because I felt guilty. I felt convicted. He'd say stuff, and I go, "Geez!" Like I tell my sister, I'm like, "Tell him to stop bringing up Jesus," because it made me feel bad. But I knew he was right. So, and then they got married and he started having sex with my sister.
Oh, man.
That's how I know.
That's gross. That's exactly what your older brother said. That's how he introduced me to his friends.
Hold on. I want to make this point. And to all you stupid Puritans out there, he is married. They're in a covenant. What do you think married people do?
I have 2 kids to prove it. So there's
2 kids.
Oh,
they at least did it twice.
No, that happened.
My older brother, though, here's the thing. I will say this. My older brother took a little more time.
I was just hoping you would say I was your brother-in-law.
Yeah. So Tony is my brother-in-law, but here's the thing.
Not some rando that got invited to the ship. I just happen to have the credentials.
I'm like, hey, do you happen to be studying your PhD?
We invited you because of your credentials, not because of your relation. There's no nepotism on this show.
I will say this. I liked you before my older brother, because at a certain point, because I was being a scumbag, I went, yeah, I kind of like Tony. He's a good guy. And my older brother, Jeb, calls up, what are you doing about this? I'm like, I'm trying to stay out of prison. Like, I'm not doing anything about... I'm trying not to get caught for something I did at a club last week. But Jeb, had to keep up this front of, whatever, man. I'm like, you like him. But yeah, I like Tony a little while in because he... it wasn't even just that he didn't beat my sister, which I appreciated.
Yeah, good husbandry.
He had integrity. No, he had integrity, and he wasn't afraid to share the gospel. And I still, at that point... had a respect for believers, for a devout Christian.
Yeah.
So Tony talking, I went, no, I think he's legit. He's a real guy, and that's why I don't give him a present on any of his birthdays, because he gets to be with my sister all the time, and I think that's present enough. I don't owe him anything.
Tony, you know what I just learned about you today?
What?
That you lived by here. You
Right.
were raised by here.
Dude,
Really?
I got some, yeah.
So question.
Yeah.
So you
and we
sold
don't have a
crack
lot of
across
time,
the street. That's
Nope.
crazy.
but you lived in this Lena Juniper area.
Yes.
Did you have any tales from the ditch? Clearly you're familiar with
Lena
the ditch.
Juniper. Okay, so you bring up Lena Juniper. Me and my friend, I don't know, can I mention his name?
Seth with the beer drumming!
Tash. My friend Tash. We grew up on Meadowlands.
Is that a real name?
Is that really his name, or are you
That
That
hiding
sounds
his
like a
name?
Muslim
Dude, his
thing.
full name was Tasher.
You know, Tash was...
No.
Yeah. I'm not going to say his
I'm
last
gonna name
name
my
because I
next
don't know.
son
He's
Tasher.
alive.
Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
Boss
Sorry, your
lives.
friend
Anyway,
Tash.
so he was a
Boss.
Spitfire. I sound old when I say that. The guy was piss and vinegar.
He was a real Truman.
Yeah.
A real Henry
He
Thurman.
was fire.
Oh, gosh.
But he picks a fight with these two guys at Lena Juniper.
Hmm.
And my dad's playing tennis with his friend, and we're like chilling. Picks a fight, and he's just getting thrashed by this kid. And I'm like, okay, I'm big. I'm a tall guy. I've always been a tall guy. And I'm like, all right, so I got to defend this little guy. So I start engaging with this. That makes it sound nice. Engaging with this fellow.
Engaging in delightful gentlemanly
Yeah, to try
physical
to
combat.
protect my friend who's picking this fight. And then all of a sudden I see my dad wielding a tennis racket running at full speed at these guys because he sees them. It's like I go to defend my friend and my dad's backing me up with a tennis racket coming out of the courts out of Lena Juniper.
That's a good dad.
Yeah, and these guys just see this grown man with a tennis racket and they're like, oh, peace, we're out. It's cool when we were fighting kids, but no way I want to get striations all over my face from a tennis racket from this old guy. So, yeah, that was weird.
Nice. Your dad fought elementary school
He
students.
didn't fight them. He didn't get there in time. They ran off. But
I like it.
But yeah, I have some stories. Yeah.
When did you move away from this area?
My parents divorced when I was 12, and then they sold the house in Sparks, and then I moved to Northwest Reno with my dad. The apartments up off of Robb Drive. Yeah.
That's when you were 12. How old are you right now? Oh, gosh.
Jeez. So I was 12. Yeah, and then my dad wanted me to go to McQueen. Yeah. Which is funny because I grew up down the street from Seth and then my wife, his sister. And then they moved to the Northwest, and then my family moved to the Northwest.
Yeah.
And then I met
timing.
Olivia my freshman year, and then we dated senior year and ended up marrying her.
Who's that?
Coincidence? I think not.
I cried at your
maybe
wedding
Reno
like
is
a little
the-
dog.
Is the biggest little city in the world
Baby
after
dog.
all.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who you call a psycho?
Yeah. Say again, Sean.
I didn't say anything.
Oh.
I said, who's Olivia? But that was a
That's
joke.
my
and it
sister.
didn't land.
Right.
We try not to drop names because people are trying to kill me.
Yeah. People might have it.
Something that you wanted to talk about that we didn't yet. In 14 seconds or less.
Find people that are experts in their field and are Christians and talk to them about their science. Don't assume that you understand it because you're going to make yourself look like an idiot. And I think there's a lot of that out there. Go find somebody who is an expert in their field and go talk to them about what they believe and how they see science and faith. And by the very definition, God is immaterial, right? He's spirit. We worship him in spirit and truth. So trying to use materialistic means to prove the existence of an immaterial being seems kind of ridiculous, right? So
dang.
there is, I don't fully support or ascribe to all the ideas of Ben Shapiro, but he does say one thing, there is revelation, and then there is revelatory knowings, and then there is like factual, empirical knowings. And God can reveal himself, absolutely. I believe in the material, but there's also revelatory experience that needs to happen. So I do not believe that you will find God by physical means, by looking at through empirical data. That there is a point where you have to cross over into revelatory. And that is
so there's
my
no
experience.
case for Christ?
Well, I think there's good evidence to point to, like, this world is this universe is very meticulous.
I think Ben Shapiro smells like old cabbage. That's my only
He
issue
smelled
with
him.
him. Oh, I've sniffed him.
Yeah.
As, like, I don't respect your opinion anymore just because you're scent.
Like I said, I don't ascribe to all of his thought, but
What?
there is, I agree with that statement that there is revelation and that there is empiricism, and you can deduce things by more than just empirical data.
Yeah.
And
we
again,
believe that the Holy Spirit enables our heart to understand.
I didn't become a Christian because of the data. I became a Christian because of my revelation of God
Totes.
in my life. So, yeah.
I thought it was because of John Piper. I apologize. I thought that's where we were going.
All right.
Pops the
Oh,
man.
my glob!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Reno
that you'd
Judo
like to say?
Club. Wait, Reno Judo Club.
Oh, that's right. Please talk about it.
Reno Judo Club. One of the awesome coaches there is Baruch. He is the man. He's got awesome history in our country, awesome story, great coach. And he often will give scholarships to kids, where it's non-profit, like Reno Judo Club. Like, he's teaching kids self-defense, confidence, discipline. He's an awesome guy. Just a part of this community. Great guy who I was surprised has actually listened to the podcast. Great story if you ever want to hear about him. And honestly, like, I've been tossed by judo guys into walls or beat up. This guy, like, kills it. He's like, I mean, seriously, as far as judo goes, your kids come in there, they're going to learn strength, discipline, cardio. And he really does care. He's not doing it for the money. He really doesn't. If you meet this guy, I've worked with him at my other job. He really loves this community, cares about kids. So Reno Judo Club, Baruch Torres, he's an awesome guy. There's a secondary coach. I'm sorry I didn't remember his name, but the Reno Judo Club is awesome. If you want your kids to learn, that's a great place to go, to Reno Judo Club. So, yeah.
Supportive of our community, which is awesome.
He is. He'll give kids scholarships and not even have them pay. He's an awesome dude, yeah. talesfromtheditch@gmail.com or Kurt Cameron at leftbehind777 Hotmail.
You can, if you want to subscribe, you can go to www.talesfromtheditch.download or search iTunes, Stitcher, or any of the podcast things.
Shout Engine.
We're on there, yeah.
Player FM.
Also, if you want to donate a beer, we've got a couple donations. We've gotten one donation, and we really appreciate it, and we spent it on whiskey.
We have this many downloads. And did we spend it on whiskey, or did Sean spend it on whiskey?
I spent it on whiskey. Sponsored by Keel.